Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Both Sides of the Bars. I'm Ronald Day, Senior Vice President at the Fortune Society, and I'm delighted to be hosting another episode of Both Sides of the Bars. Today, we have a pretty extraordinary show, and the guests are phenomenal individuals who I'm so excited that you are going to have the privilege, I would say, to hear from. This particular show is titled Sing Sing, right? We're going to be talking about a film called Sing Sing that relates to a program inside called Rehabilitation Through the Arts. And so let me read the synopsis here. It says, universally acclaimed by critics, last year's film Sing Sing is based on the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program at New York State's maximum security prison. The film focuses on a group of incarcerated men who create theatrical stage shows through the program, and it stars both professional actors as well as many former incarcerated men who were alumni of that program. Two of the men who were featured in Sing Sing are here to talk about the show and about their experience. One is Jon-Adrian J.J. Velazquez, and the other is Clarence Divine I. Maclin. They're going to talk about this particular unique program, and I'm excited about the conversation. So let me just share a little bit about their background, and then we're going to get started. So Jon-Adrian J.J. Velazquez is executive director of Voices from Within. It's a multimedia education initiative that addresses the epidemic of crime and incarceration through the voices of people living with the consequences of their choices and the victims left in their wake. Velazquez, a legal reform activist and actor, was wrongfully convicted of a 1998 murder of a retired police officer. He served a 25 to life sentence at New York's maximum security prison, Sing Sing. And Clarence Divine I. Maclin is an actor who made his feature film debut in the movie Sing Sing, in which his performance as a younger version of himself has received critical acclaim. When he was 29, he was sentenced to 17 years in Sing Sing Correctional Facility, where he participated in the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program. Since his release, he has worked as a youth counselor, creative arts specialist, and gang intervention specialist at Lincoln Hall Boys Haven in Somers, New York. Before we actually start the conversation, we thought it would be a good idea to actually share the trailer of the movie Sing Sing so you can get a glimpse of what the movie is actually about. So why don't we go ahead and get the trailer for the audience?
To die, to sleep, to dream.
This is a clemency hearing for your conviction, 25 to life. Since you've been in custody, you've been involved in a theater program.
Gentlemen, let's go.
It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath. I am Spartacus.
I'm Prince Hamlet of Denmark.
And it's turned into something of, I don't know, wonderful.
What part do you play?
From time to time I do act, like we all do.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
We here to become human again and enjoy the things that is not in our reality.
I think you guys are becoming real with each other, vulnerable.
Listen, I already know what you're doing, know who you are, what you about, bro.
What?
You don't get to tell me what I need in prison. You don't get to do that. And don't bring me in those dark corners no more.
The world expects brothers like you and I to walk in with our heads held down. Nah, what you gotta walk in like a king. Everything is yours.
I'm divine now.
Yeah.
This is my theater.
Now give him some love, give him some love.
Go to your most perfect spot. Do you hear anything? Are you with somebody? Are you outside? Hold that feeling.
You gotta admit that I murdered that Hamlet scene, bro. Shakespeare is in his grave right now. He rolled over.
You did your thing, beloved.
Thank you for allowing the audience to see the trailer. So yeah, so let's get to our guests, Mr. Maclin and Mr. Velazquez. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Mr. Maclin, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and that the role that you played in the movie Sing Sing. And then we're going to get to talking about the program Rehabilitation Through the Arts. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, man. I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. You know, just like everybody else in the rest of the boroughs, we grew up poor, single parent home. You know what I mean? That was my situation, my circumstances. I grew up artistic. I like to draw, I like to paint, create with my hands. You know, I like to do all those things. However, you know, I suppressed all that to be a part of the in crowd. It's like, you know how the neighborhood go. You know, the artist is the nerd. So I wanted to be a part of the in crowd, so I started doing in crowd things, and I really suppressed the more artistic part of myself until, you know, I got into prison and got into the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program. That's when that thing awakened back up. But all the way up until then, I was more or less I was into the streets hard and heavy. I was into everything that was in the streets until I got back into the program.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Mr. Maclin. Appreciate it. Mr. Velazquez, tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the movie Sing Sing.
Yeah, sure. My journey was a little bit different. You know, unfortunately, I spent almost 24 years incarcerated for a crime I didn't commit. But while I was incarcerated, I met great brothers like Divine Eye and other brothers that helped me get through my own trauma, my own pain, through programs like RTA, Hudson Link, Voices from Within, and the like. And so, you know, programs that were available to the population that gave people an opportunity to believe in themselves and to believe in more than what society deemed worthy for us while we were incarcerated, which is more like the modern slavery trade. You know, like RTA was an awakening for a lot of individuals, including myself, where we were able to see ourselves as human beings outside of what we were being depicted as by the carceral system. And so being fortunate enough not only to witness the work of RTA and other programs like that throughout my incarceration, I was eventually released through executive clemency by former Governor Cuomo. And within 10 months of my release, I was put on a scene of a movie. And we had to do that in 18 months because Coleman Domingo was in between
18 days.
Color Purple, and he was also in between Rustin. Mm-hmm. And so within 18 days, you're talking about a cast of formerly incarcerated individuals with 3 professional actors from Hollywood getting together and making the best movie the world will ever see.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, that just shows the potential of people who have been impacted by the system. You know, I always say that the bar is often set low for people who've been inside, and we're trying to make sure that we raise the bar because you guys have certainly done that with your involvement, not just in the movie Sing Sing, but in the work that you did with Rehabilitation Through the Arts, but just generally. The fact that you were able to be involved in something like that and to be able to, like you said, Mr. Maclin, growing up artistic, but living a life that's different and then being able to settle into that. One thing I want to ask is when the curtain closes, right? When you're in prison and you're in a program like Rehabilitation Through the Arts, you still have to walk through the yard and go back to your cell and have that gate slam on you. How were you able to get through that very negative and traumatizing experience even though you were involved in a program like Rehabilitation Through the Arts? Why don't we start with you, Mr. Maclin?
Well, listen, in Rehabilitation of the Arts, we noticed that, like you said, when the curtain comes down and we're backing ourselves, and now I'm back to 96A7997 after I just unpacked this whole character to the world. Now you put me back down to this little 96A7997. So we devised mechanisms and we devised exercises. Now you saw the movie, you saw the exercise when we all in a circle and everybody's asked to go to their favorite place, their most perfect place. That's actually an exercise that we devised in prison to help with that crash of coming down from such a high. So we have different ways of dealing with that.
Excellent. And what about you, Mr. Velazquez?
I think the greater, and I'm hoping I'm answering your question in this, but I think the greater message that society really needs to understand about programs like Fortune Society as well as RTA is that these are programs that don't service just the individuals who are involved in the program. They're actually programs that service the world. And so to give a micro look at this, right? When I pulled up to Sing Sing many moons ago, and I don't want to reveal my age in this, but I did decades in prison. And so when I pulled up at Sing Sing for the very first time, I heard about this theater troupe that was going to put on a play for the population, for people that are running around living in misery, right? And so we're seeing that there's people that are really a part of who we are, our population, that are meant for us. They're going to put on a show for us, right? And it was crazy because for me, I came from upstate where things were like a little bit treacherous, kind of like the life that we were living in prison. And then to come down to this place where art is about to expose itself to the population. And the play was called The N Tribe. And so, as you can imagine, we're talking about the N word, a word that is so derogatory in its nature, yet there's people from our culture that take it and use it as a term of endearment. And so what the N Trial did, this play, put that word on blast to a point that people felt uncomfortable using that word within the population. And that's where the scene between Coleman and Clarence comes when they talk about, we don't use that word here, we use beloved. And now we have an organization called Forward, FWD, FRWD, right? That's actually pushing forward a message through shirts. And they're saying, they crossed out the word inmate and put beloved underneath, right? And that's the message we're trying to get across to the world, is that we're not inmates, we're not niggas, I'm sorry to use the word, but just to bring it out for people. We're not none of that. We're human beings. We're people just like you, with brothers and sisters, fathers and daughters, and until we start to look at each other in that way, we're not going to be able to heal as a society. And so that's why this movie is so important. That's why everything that we did, all the work that we did towards going back in, I mean, Clarence had to put greens back on. After fighting for 24 years to get out of prison for a wrongful conviction, I had to put greens back on. That means something different to us than other actors, right? But we did it because we felt that this message was so imperative. We felt that the world needed to understand that there are human beings that are incarcerated, and if we just treat them like human beings, we might be able to change this world. And I think that's more important than anything else.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the world will understand. Mr. Maclin, a question for you. What are some of the messages conveyed to the audience by the movie Sing Sing? What messages did you all want to convey to the audience?
Well, one of the messages is one that you just heard from my brother JJ, that the people in prison are actually that. They're human beings, they're people, and they're coming home. The other message is that, who do you want to come home? Do you want somebody that came home that just only spin the yard and thought about pretty much everything he thought about when he was in the street? Or do you want somebody that's coming home that really trying to invest in themselves and trying to change themselves for the betterment of society? These are the two individuals you have to choose from. One of them are being programmed. One of these individuals are being programmed with positive programming. The other one is just being punished. Who do you want home? Who do you want on a grocery line next to your children? Who do you want picking their kids up from the same daycare that your kids are going to. Which one of these individuals do you want home?
I think that's a profound question that the audience, when they see this piece, should reflect on. And Mr. Velazquez, what about, so knowing that you were wrongfully convicted, what was it like being asked to be a part of this Sing Sing film and going back into a decommissioned prison, like you said, not long after your release? Which prison did you film Sing Sing in?
We went back into downstate and Mid-Orange. We went into 2 prisons, actually.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I came home and I was offered this opportunity, right? And so there was like a crossroads between like, do you really want to go back into a prison and do this? And do you really, how are you going to be depicted? But when I started to see like the team of individuals that was on this, learning that people like Divine I and Divine G have been invested in this production over 7 years, close to 8 years, like I started to realize like Divine I is my brother. He was my brother inside. And so something that he's involved in has to be backed by integrity because that's what he epitomizes to me. And so and then I see Dino and I'm like, wait a minute, this is the team. And so I'll do anything with these individuals because I know what they're about. They're about doing something that's real, something that could actually change people's hearts and minds. And so, you know, the fear of going back inside, the fear of putting on these greens and the trauma that could bring back on, you know, paled in comparison to the mission. And so we're married to the movement, and we were talking about that when we were inside. No need to change when we got outside.
Right.
And so I might have been the last person out, but I was the first person to step to the plate and say, "Let's get it."
I hear that. That's phenomenal, extraordinary. Mr. Maclin, how is this film being used to advocate for social change?
Well, I think that is being used because it's definitely shedding light on society as far as overcoming a lot of the tropes and the stigmas that you have towards individuals who are formerly incarcerated. If you could overcome that, then probably we could bridge the gap and get some real work done without, you know what I'm saying, you standing on one side of the street, me standing on the other side of the street, and we face fighting one another. No one's getting any work done like that. Well, we on this side of the street are actually been equipped and bettering ourselves and invested in this moment and this chance to help do something in the community. And all we need is an opportunity from the guys that's face fighting us and ice grilling us and the guys that on the other side.
Mm-hmm. You're really educating the public about some of this terminology too, and some of the jargon
That's right.
that's utilized in these facilities. So that's good to know. Guys having the screw face and all the rest of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So JJ, you haven't been released from prison due to the clemency and then ultimately received an exoneration. I mean, we know that there are plenty of other innocent people who haven't been able to get that same experience that you have. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family and all the people that have supported you. Do you have bitterness towards the system for that experience? Like, what's your perspective on this? I mean,
good
24 years of your life is a long time.
Something I wrestle with every day, still to this day. Like, do I have bitterness? It's a weird question. I don't really know how to answer it other than to just bare my soul to you. So essentially how I feel is this. I know that, you know, the system violated me. It violated my children. It violated my mother. It violated my community. And that's just in my circumstance. When we look at what prosecutors and the courts are willing to accept, they're saying conservatively that 5% of our incarcerated population could potentially be wrongfully convicted. I think it's a lot more. But even at 5%, we're talking about potentially 100,000 people that are wrongfully convicted in prison.
That's the acceptable number?
Yeah, that's what they feel is deemed acceptable, right? The error rate. But if we knew that 100,000 planes were crashing every year, we would shut that airline down quick. So the real question isn't whether I'm bitter or not. The real question is, what is society willing to do to correct this error? When I got exonerated, the judge told me that I couldn't say anything in the court, so I had to get a hat printed that said end of an error so that my hat could speak for me. This world needs a revamp, a big one. We're not being treated equally. I just got exonerated. I'm still not being treated equally, right? I should have never gone through this in the first place. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of individuals who are potentially going through this while I'm speaking. Let me bring this down even quicker and closer to the heart. We're talking about a movie. We're celebrating the success of a movie. It's based on John Divine G. Whitfield, an individual who right now, and there's nothing wrong with driving a train, being a train conductor, but right now, he's a train conductor on the F train, right? And he is a convicted felon for a crime he did not commit, right? And we're celebrating the success of this film, but we're not celebrating the success of his exoneration. And so I feel fortunate, and I'm glad that I'm in a position to be exonerated. I feel like the luckiest person on this earth right now. But I wonder why brothers that are so close to me, so close to the story, and so close to all of the success that I've experienced in the short 3 years that I've been home after 24 years of incarceration, why this individual 30 years later has still not been rectified as a human being, as a person that he was born to be, right? Why is it that his conviction still stands? Why is it that he must still go through trials and tribulations that he didn't bring upon himself?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to say I'm bitter, but I will say that I'm very disappointed at where we are today as a society, and particularly as a system that, like, we're invested in this social contract. People don't really look at what this is. We're invested in a social contract where we pay taxes. Money's being taken from our earnings on a regular basis, and we're not being protected. I didn't feel protected when I did 24 years in prison. I felt violated. And there's a lot of people who feel the same way, and they don't deserve it. And so we don't need to talk about how I feel. We need to talk about how the people who are still innocent, languishing behind bars feel. And I hope that everybody listening to this takes a minute to think about that and reflects on that, because all of us have power when we sit on a jury panel to make the right decisions.
Thank you. That's deep. Appreciate you sharing that with us. And Mr. Maclin, question for you. How has that experience with being in this production with Sing Sing and having the experience of incarceration shaped who you are today?
Well, it definitely put me on a getting into this acting and getting into this expressing myself, because that's what growing up I wasn't really good at expressing myself, which is why I like to do stay alone type things like paint, draw. You don't need a team for none of that. I wasn't really good with the team thing, but getting involved with RTA and being a part of an ensemble, being a part of a team, being having some accountability, and also having some measure of authority, because everybody in RTA words count. Everybody has a say-so in the production that we're going to put on, in the message that we want to put forth with the production, and how we're going to present it. Those ideas are shaped by all of us. There's no one person that does it. So that getting that experience, I feel, also prepared me for where I am now, and being a part of different type networks. Like right now, I'm a part of my managers have a network. My publicists are part of a network, and agents. It takes a whole village. It takes everybody to create this whole thing. And that's how it is in life. No one man is going to be able to swim them 9,000 miles by himself. So we gonna all have to get together and be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? This is how the job gonna get done. And this is what I learned. This is what I got from my experience with putting on performances, and it's bigger than just putting on a play. It's coming together collectively to start something and finish it, to create something and present it. Because what we create is never for us. What we create is for everybody else. Whether it's a drawing, a painting, a production, whatever. Once we create it, it's for the world. It's not for us. And to learn to be a part of that is like to learn how to live forever, because art lives forever.
Yeah, I just read something today. Your life is not about your life; it's about your duty. And it sounds like essentially that's what you're saying.
exactly
You're
right.
producing something that's for the world. We only have a minute. We only have a minute left. Mr. Velazquez, do you want to just share in 30 seconds? I would ask the question: what was it like for Mr. Coleman to work with you guys, Coleman Domingo? But I'm just curious about what that experience was like in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Coleman is like the most amazing human that I've met in a long time. I mean, to come home from prison to that set and to have a dude that's been in Hollywood for a while just embrace you as a regular human being and just say like, yo, we have this job to do. Let's do it together. I may have a little more experience on this camera than all of y'all, but we're going to get through this. And his leadership was phenomenal on that level. He brought us all into that small screen, showed us everything that we needed to know in a short time, and made us the stars that we are today. Like,
thank you.
Immense gratitude to Coleman, to the entire development team behind Sing Sing, the production team, my team, my ensemble, my cast members. I mean, come on, man. Like,
thank you. This is
perfect storm.
Like yeah, this was excellent. I mean, we're a little bit past time, but thank you both for being on the show, Mr. Maclin, Mr. Velazquez. This was a true honor. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much.
Right,
Thank you, audience, for watching.